So we will apply now technology acceptance theories on IoT and later artificial intelligence. This brings me to the first study we did, the impact of social and cognitive influence on smart connected objects adoption. It was published at the European Marketing Conference in 2016. I directly come to the literature review. So this is what you have to do now in the next couple of months. And this is always what you do when you start the research. You do a literature. First of all, we see here what is the IoT. We found some definitions in different journals. And so it's a network which can identify and communicate with physical objects through the internet. So it's a worldwide network of interconnected objects that are able to create and transmit data to create value for users through various services. So you have seen it can be in every object, including homes, including kitchens, including beds, including offices, including cars. So everything can be connected, and it is connected through sensors, basic sensors that capture actually feelings or capture conditions, but it could be also, and it's more and more guided by artificial intelligence to make the system independent from human decisions. And the main aim is to increase consumers' quality of life. And the smart connected objects are basically physical objects that can be controlled by other digital objects, and they can act on its own thanks to artificial intelligence. And so the smart connected objects are connected to the IoT and can either become independent through AI, either they are still guided by or controlled by humans. And this is what we see on the next slide. So indeed, there's actually a progression in sophistication. So actually the mobile applications are the basic technologies, but now they become quite used by every user, because it's only software on smartphones or tablets that collect, storage, deliver real-time data, and perform specific tasks to specific needs. So it's very basic, and there's no AI, there's no IoT, but they become and bring more service if they are connected. So if the mobile app collects data via sensors and is connected to, for example, a smart home that has sensors, light sensors or room and humidity and temperature sensors, then it can give personalized feedback, but the app is still controlled by users. So there's no AI. So this is actually what most of our applications are doing if they're connected. So we can control, for example, the light in our house. We can control by a smartphone the television. We can control the air condition. We can control the temperature. Because we know that, for example, it's now, I'm in my office, and I go back later to my home. Now I could reduce the temperature because I'm not there, and the device will tell me now it's 80 degrees, and I can control remotely the temperature to increase it to 21 degrees, the optimal room temperature. But these connected applications, and that's the future, will become smart applications if they do things automatically and personalized, based on the data that is collected, and that they adapt spontaneously according to our feelings or well-being. This is in the frame of well-being. So if we consider now, again, aircon or heating system or light system, then the data collects data about the optimal temperature. So if the system, if I have variables, for example, if the system feels that my body temperature is too high or I'm sweating, then it might automatically collect the data, and with a history of data can determine the optimal temperature for me according to different conditions. For example, if I'm doing sport at home, it would reduce automatically my temperature in my room or in my house. If I'm sitting in my office where I'm not moving, it might increase the temperature because it feels that I'm freezing, and so the system becomes intelligent. So today, and the value, and to come back also to the marketing application, the value from is not mobile, not a connected application, it is IoT or a smart connected application connected to artificial intelligence that is automatically analyzing data and giving us intelligent feedback and controllings of devices, so that we have value. And there we are fully again in the marketing paradigm, because value means satisfaction, perceived value means satisfaction, and subsequently loyalty. So it makes sense to work on the smart application. So in this thesis, actually, these terms are often used in an interchanged way. So the thesis made clearer definitions. So first of all, as we have seen, we gave an intention of IoT, of SCO, and above all, we made it clear a differentiation has to be done between mobile, connected, and smart applications. So this is one of the contributions that came from the literature review. Once we have clarified concepts, we started with a very large domain. IoT, smart connected objects, artificial intelligence. We did not really know to which direction we should go. So when you don't know where to go, when the topic is very large, it makes sense to do an exploratory study. And this is what we did. Actually, we did a preliminary study on the adoption of IoT. And we did two focus groups with 10 persons each in 2015, where we asked, first of all, the respondents how what if they understand the concepts IoT and smart connected objects. It was basically not the case. So we asked them how they perceive IoT, what they understand of IoT and smart connected objects. So this was the first step. And then the second step, we explained them a little bit more what it was for. We asked them what would influence the adoption of IoT for them. So we basically found a lot of verbatims. So text, they told us. And so the study, the focus groups were recorded by video and with the audio data and transcripted and then analyzed by NVivo, which is a qualitative analysis tool. And so by analyzing the verbatims, we found actually convenient, useful, easy. So this is actually the concept of perceived usefulness and ease of use in the basic TAM. So IoT is a technology, and it's not different what has been found in technology acceptance literature. It should be useful and it should be easy to use. Second, we found terms like share, information, communication. So this is more the communication or utilitarian values that we regarded it in this concept. Private data, security, risk of privacy, which is more related to private lives, and so privacy concerns. And so we conceptualized it within a concept of privacy concerns and private life. Flashy, at the forefront of technology, like my friends. And so this is rather related to the concept, which is well known in marketing and psychology, social value. This is includes also relationships with others. So social value due to snobbiness or due to the value we get by showing that we are the first to use a given technology, but also social value to the links, the bonds we could create through others by communicating via a smartphone, for example. And finally, entertainment, relax, and sport and health. So we conceptualize it through well-being. So we found actually 5 concepts which we would like to focus on in the continuity of the study. One is clearly coming from the TAM, and the others are actually concepts which were partially considered by the TAM or the UT literature. Therefore, focus on them and try to find more literature about these 4 other concepts. It makes sense when you're really in the new research domain to do a qualitative research first. And you can do it, I'm just opening a bracket, you can do it either by doing focus groups, but now you can do also it by looking at the internet, by using secondary data. For example, we could have gone to user forums about IoT or smart connected objects. We could have scrapped the data, the written data on the website, and analyzed it with text mining software. This is actually what we did last year. We did actually a scrapping of reviews of a IoT sport application. And so we scrapped something like 100,000 comments. So it's much more than information than you found in a focus group. So he scrapped it from an evaluation of a sports application. He used R software, so text mining software, and he actually found the topics, relevant topics for acceptance of a sports application. The topics are quite similar. So it's quite similar. It's about well-being, social value, privacy concerns, and naturally the benefits. But this is another way how you could proceed. You could start to scrap data from websites. You explore this data in order to find relevant concepts for a given technology adoption. The starting point is a qualitative study. And then we went to a quantitative study because we have found the relative concepts and said that indeed the technology acceptance literature is very well established because it predicts technology acceptance and usage with given cognitive and social variables. So first of all, we established the basic TAM model with perceived utilities, which is the perception that the use of the technology enhances user performance. Perceived ease of use, which is the perception that the use of a technology is simple and effortless. And they should both have an impact on behavioral intention and acceptance and usage of IoT technology. We chose the TAM or UTAUT technology because the literature is very established about technology adoption. So we justify the choice of the UTA or UT. This is what you have to do when you use a theory in your thesis. You have to justify why you use this theory. We also chose it because it has strong psychometric properties. So the measurement scales which are used are established and very strong, very, very established for technology usage tests. It's easy to adapt to the context because it had been tested in office context, in private context, in mobile phone context, in mobile banking context, in online gaming context. So it's a model that can be easily adapted. It's a current of literature which can be easily adapted to other contexts. And at the moment we started the PhD, it was not yet used to study IoT and SCO adoption. But if we only use the basic TAM, theoretically you would not bring anything. And practically, if you say the easier it is to use and the more it brings utilities, the more it will be accepted. Imagine talking to a manager and saying that to be adapted, the technology must be useful and easy to use. I imagine the reaction would be, okay. So there are more important questions that make a technology useful and easy to use. That is why you cannot today satisfy yourself to use it in the basic TAM model. Actually, we have seen that there are not only one concept coming from the TAM, but there are 4 other concepts which are relevant, which would be worthwhile to get tested. And that is why we went further. So here you have the basic TAM by perceived usefulness and perceived ease of use, but actually we introduced individual differences. So for example, moderating variables such as age or cultures, the system characteristics, the features that the IoT or the smart connected object has, the social influence, and facilitating conditions, which are actually summarized in the UTU, AUT literature. And therefore, by basing our reasoning on our focus groups, on our qualitative exploratory study, we integrated so different concepts, fully tested in literature, privacy concerns of the protection of private life, because IoT collects a lot of data for personalization, but can represent an intrusion into personal life that they want to protect. Utilitarian value, which means the value of functional benefits, that is informational research and communication with others. Social value, which is defined as the degree to which the use of a technology will enhance the user's social status in his or her group. And consumer well-being, which is very fully investigated in marketing, which is the personal state of mind linked to different factors: health, social, economic, pleasure, self-realization, and harmony. It's a very complicated concept. When you go into this literature, you will see, you will open a bottle of spirits. You don't know really where to start. That is why in our study, we stayed in a very easy conceptualization of well-being. But you have in economics, very large literature about collective and individual well-being, which is complicated to work on. But you cannot focus on all aspects of well-being because it would be too large to test. That is why I will tell you in some instance which choice we did, which brings us to a mediating variable. So we consider that the privacy concerns have a negative impact on trust. What is trust? It's a psychological state of mind characterized by the intention to accept vulnerability on the basis of optimistic beliefs about the behaviors of others. In easy words, it's the belief that we don't feel betrayed by a person or by a technology. We consider that this variable is important in technology acceptance, and so which is another contribution, because trust has fully integrated into technology acceptance models. We have actually introduced privacy concerns about the worriness about the flow of information. Privacy concerns should negatively impact trust and intention to adopt, because it might create negative feelings about intrusion into private lives. It should also influence negatively well-being, because they can bring stress and decreases feelings of well-being. You can see here the authors. This is not intuition. This is based on what we found in literature. So our hypothesis or our research questions are supported by literature. And we introduced an individual variable, consumer innovativeness, as a moderator, which is the degree of attraction toward innovations. It's a predisposition to adopt a technological innovation found by Rogers in 1983, but it is used regularly in technology studies as a moderator, improving acceptance, because innovative consumers are more likely to accept new technologies, including smart technology. So the higher the innovativeness, the higher will be the readiness to adopt. The lower the innovativeness, the lower should be the readiness to adopt. To come to our contribution, so we extended the TAM by different variables. This is our final model, which we wanted to test. So we have here actually the basic TAM with perceived usefulness, with perceived ease of use, which influence perceived usefulness. We extended the model by introducing a mediating variable, well-being. So we don't consider that usefulness directly influences intention of use, but there should be a mediating impact of well-being. That is, the more the technology creates usefulness, the higher the well-being should be, the higher should be the intention to use, and the higher should be also the intention to recommendation or word of mouth intentions. On the other hand, this should be moderated by what we call quantified self, a predisposition of consumers to measure, to monitor themselves in order to increase the well-being. So we consider consumers who are ready to monitor them often or regularly should have higher feelings of well-being and higher intention of use, adopt the technology. And we have extended the model on the left side by antecedents. So we introduced this utilitarian value, which represents communication through IoT. We introduced social value, which both should have positive impact on perceived usefulness. And we introduced privacy concerns, which should have a negative impact on technology trust, according to literature, Hong and Tong, and negative impact on trust. But on the other hand, if we manage to decrease privacy concerns, trust should increase, and this should have a positive impact on consumer well-being, which in turn then should positively impact intention of use. And so this is our model. It could be enhanced by many other variables. So we could also have introduced hedonistic value and any kind of price value, but at one point you have to stay simple. Your model should not be too simple, should not be too complicated. So we did the arbitration to stay here with these variables, which appear to be as most relevant, because they also came out by our qualitative research. And so what I want to say is you have always to argument in your thesis or research why you do a given choice. Our choice was to simplify, to extend the model first with most relevant variables coming out in our qualitative research and also supported by literature, but not to introduce too many variables, because this would have made the model too complicated.
So in summary, you can see here the overall conceptual model with all the hypotheses, and all the hypotheses are justified by the literature. As you can see, for example, hypothesis 1, utilitarian value and positive impact on perceived usefulness is justified by an article, Sralewitz and Myers, 1998. The link between perceived ease of use on perceived usefulness is justified by the article of Davis, coming from the basic TAM model. The hypothesis Social value on perceived usefulness, hypothesis 3, is based on Sweetney and Suta 2011. The hypothesis privacy concerns the negative impact on technology trust comes from Hong and Tong 2013. And so it is very important that you justify all your hypotheses with literature and that it does not come from your personal institution.
The next step is in a research to test your model. We did an exploratory qualitative research first. Now we had our hypothesis. We know more about our topic. We have a formalized hypothesis. So in this case, we could do a choice for quantitative methodology. This is what we did. So we did 2 survey waves. So first of all, we surveyed 303 students, and then in the second wave, we surveyed 342 persons, kind of snowball sampling. So we ask students to survey their parents, grandparents, in order to have a more representative sample. The sample, so we have 40% women, 60% men, who only users who really use smart connected objects, and we primed them with a video about agenda, Google Agenda, that is connected to IoT and that simplifies our life. So with a video, and you can see mainly younger generations, but we have also some baby boomers. We used only existing scales, so we did not invent or created scales. The scales were reliable according to our the common measures, and here are the scales. So we used perceived utilities by Davis and colleagues, and so we adapted them. For example, my smart connected object is a good assistant during my daily life. It helps me perform my task faster, makes my life easier, and is very useful. Perceived ease of use, we used also the Davis scale. So it refers to, I find it easy to use my smart connected object. It is clear and understandable. I feel competent to use it, and it's adapted to my daily life. The usage is attached usage. I use a lot of my smart connected objects in my daily life, whenever it's possible, when I need it. Word of mouth. So I would recommend smart connected objects. I would encourage my friends and family to use connected objects, and I would talk positively about connected objects. And so you see all these scales are existing. We found them in articles. The utilitarian value was measured by Arnold and Reynolds, and so it allows me to communicate with my entourage, to find new friends, to find information on a topic, have latest news on my favorite topics. It's helpful for professional future. Consumer well-being, we adopted it from, or we took the scale from that I actually used with my co-authors Andreas Munzel and Jean-Philippe Gallon. It's published in Technological Forecasting and Social Change. So you see the conceptualization of well-being is quite easy. So we actually integrate experiential or hedonistic aspect. It's entertaining, it's relaxing, it's an escape, it's delightful, so you have more the aspects of joy. It improves my health conditions. It improves my quality of life, well-being. It makes me less depressive, so the psychological well-being. It makes life more exciting, makes me more happy, so the affective well-being, and I feel better, so the physical well-being. So we use a scale which we developed for our both articles published in 2015, and we used it also there in this study. Sorry, it was too quick. Innovativeness, no, it's an established scale too. So if I hear about a new technology, I like to try it. I'm generally the first to use it. So innovativeness, privacy concerns from Hong and Tong. So it bothers me when smart connected objects ask for my personal information. I'm concerned if they ask for too much information. I'm concerned if the information is sold to other providers. So you can see here some items. Social value, so it improves, the smart connected object improves the opinion my family has about me. It promotes me socially, improves the way I'm perceived, and it helps assert my self-identity. So there are some items about social value. And trust, my smart connected object is trustworthy, handling my personal information, and it fulfills its promises related to my personal information. And so all these scales exist. We tested this, and this is also what we will do with factor analysis. And so you can see these indicators should be higher than 8. And so the Cronbach alpha is higher than 8. And so which means that the scales fit well to our context, and we can be applied. And yeah, all these indicators show that the scales can be adapted to our context. And this is what you will learn when you have quantitative methodologies. I won't focus a lot here. It's the same for all our scales. What is interesting are the results. So we use structural equation modeling. This is also what you will learn in your quantitative courses. So it's a kind of regression model where we actually see that, first of all, the model fits well. All these indicators show good fit, which shows that our sample is fitting well our data. And you see here also the confidence intervals. And so most of our relationships are highly significant at 0.001 level or significant at the 0.05 level. For example, utilitarian value is highly positively significant as we expected in H1 on PU. And we can see also ease of use has also a highly significant positive impact on usefulness. And it's the same for social value, as the regression coefficient is positive and highly significant. We see that in line with our hypothesis, it's slightly significant. Privacy concerns have a negative impact on technology trust. But on the other hand, technology trust has highly significant positive impact on well-being. Until now, all our hypotheses are confirmed. We confirm furthermore that well-being is a mediating variable, because the higher the well-being, the higher the impact on intention to use. This impact is moderated by the quantified self, which means that indeed, the more people are concerned by measuring, monitoring their life with smart connected objects, the higher will be also the impact of well-being on intention of use. Well-being has also a direct positive and highly significant impact on recommendations, or word of mouth, to recommend a smart connected object. And last but not least, we confirm also a positive, highly significant relationship between intention to use and word of mouth. We have here some moderators that we test. We also see here that technology trust is a moderator between utilitarian value, that is that we communicate with others, and perceived usefulness. So you see, indeed, if we have high trust, the perceived usefulness is higher. This lower line, these are people with low trust, so they perceive lower usefulness. The more people trust into technologies, they more also will perceive the benefits of the technology in line of our hypothesis. And this is all confirmed. You can see this is what we found also in literature. Also what you can see when I put here a reference, for example, Novak and Hoffman showed that actually our link, the link we test also is positive, or Hong and Tong show that privacy concerns have negative impact on trust. So we confirm all our hypotheses, and this is all in line with our literature research and literature. And we see indeed innovativeness has a positive impact on the link between perceived usefulness and ease of use on use. So you can see the more the consumer is innovative, open to new technology, the higher will also be the usage of the technology. On the other hand, the lower the innovativeness is, the lower will also be the usage. So there again, we are in line with literature. It's Rogers, 1983. After the results comes the discussion in your research. You have to confront your results to theory you have found in literature. So what are our contributions? We clarified the concepts of IoT and smart connected objects, mobile applications, smart applications, and connected applications. We've seen, so IoT is an invisible network that can connect physical objects together anytime, anywhere to improve customers' lives through well-being and the use of smart connected objects. A smart connected object is a digitized object that can collect, store, and distribute data that can be controlled by a smartphone, by the user, or by AI automatically, by its environment to improve consumers' lives and well-being. Furthermore, we show the importance of trust for intention to use smart connected objects. And so we see that it's a highly important mediating variable, and the higher the trust, the more smart connected object will be used. We show the importance of well-being. It's important to enhance technology acceptance models with well-being. It's because it's highly relevant and significant. And so we are, to our best knowledge, the first having introduced well-being in a technology acceptance model and test the positive influence on intention to use SCO. We found the importance of quantified self as a moderator for intention of use. There again, we are the first to do that. And we confirm privacy concern as the main barrier of technology acceptance. On the other hand, we bring methodological contributions by proposing an extended TAM with new factors, mainly well-being, quantified self, but also privacy concerns. And finally, our managerial contribution is that we show the factors that influence consumer behavior by well-being. So the importance to introduce well-being in measurement or performance indicators, and not only to use satisfaction or perceived value as measurement indicators. We show also the impact of well-being on consumer behavior, so the relevance. And so it's really important for managers to consider well-being, which is more and more the case. Managers become now more open also to the idea of well-being. And we show the importance to reinsure the consumers that private life and personal data control is important and the main barrier of IoT and SCO adoption. Naturally, our research is not free of limits. We have only a convenience sample. It's only one study. So in order to find empirical generalizations, it is important to replicate the study with real applications. And so we have only a video that we showed. So it would be interesting to make the same study with real applications that users use in order to measure the trust into the real application. For example, Runkeeper or a health application or a sleep application, in order to really test usage situations where the users really use and are really connected to the objects, and where we really measure actual behavior and not only intentions. Because we only measured intention of use, whereas we know that intention does not really reflect real usage of smart connected objects. So we should do studies that study the impact of SCO on behavioral variables, and that is real usage, reusage, how many times users are connected to the devices, with prototype tests and real application, real SCO data. And so this would really improve the contribution, but yeah, I'm opening a bracket. This is really complicated, but because this means that you need collaborations with firms who are operating this data or these applications. So, but they are first of all reluctant to work with researchers because they want to protect the data. And second, yeah, is also the problem of ethical issues. Can they give us the data? One mean to cope with that would be to get anonymous data. But the main obstacle is still that most firms today are reluctant to work with researchers or universities. It would be also important to improve the study with a representative sample of the French or international population. We only use the snowball sample, which is not representative. And it would be interesting to study new variables in the technology acceptance models, such as perceived congruence. Is the technology congruent with my way of life, for example, but also price question. So the quality price ratio, because we did not consider at all the pricing. So in summary, we conclude that these smart connected objects bring out a new era of competition and differentiation. So we showed with our study that these technologies are important, relevant, but a lot of future studies have to be done to generate empirical generalization and to bring new knowledge.